are going, I think it should, okay.
I found Dolores.
Okay, yeah, okay. Did you admit?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I found Dolores.
Okay, yeah, okay. Awesome. Okay, I think, yeah, we're just gonna get started. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna let folks in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting in about 20 seconds, so just hang tight. Okay, awesome. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to the AB331 Student Rally. We are so excited that you are joining in the fight for ethnic studies in California. This rally is hosted by Jenna, Diversify Our Narrative, and March for Our Lives California. We are going to be your host today. I'm Alvin and I'm from Jenna.
And I'm Michelle Alice, and I am GenUp Statewide Policy Director. We have a super inspiring lineup of speakers ready for you today, including our state assembly members, our state superintendent of public instruction, and prominent activists who have spent decades advocating for the rights of minorities and people of color. This incredible community has come together today because we recognize how integral this bill is in changing the way we learn.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Nguyen. I'm one of the co-executive directors of Diversify Our Narrative, and we are so excited to present this rally with y'all today. This is such an important cause, and it's so wonderful to see everyone's faces here. Caitlin, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I'm also one of the co-executive directors of Diversify Our Narrative. Like Jasmine said, we are extremely excited to be part of this initiative. And we think that passing ethnic studies is so important, and we're so excited to see where this goes.
Next, we have March for Our Lives, California.
My name is Yasmin, and I'm from City Director for March for Lives, California. We're a youth gun violence prevention organization, but we also work in a wide variety of areas. So super excited to be here today, especially to be supporting AB331, as we know that racial justice is a very important intersection within gun violence and the work that we can do to eradicate that.
Awesome. And let's get started. What an amazing group of organizers, and thank you all for being all in and committed to passing AB 331 as law. I'm going to pass it off to Michelle, who is now going to introduce our first speaker of the day. And as always, again, we want high spirits, high energy. This is a rally, so the Zoom chat is open to everyone. Feel free to kind of throw in what you're feeling and just get pumped and get hyped. We're really excited, guys. Feel the energy.
Yeah, thanks, Alvin. So we're going to pass it off to our incredible lineup of adult speakers and supporters. First, we have Assemblymember Jose Medina, our representative from the 61st Assembly District and the author of this momentous bill. So Assemblymember Medina, take it away.
Yeah.
Assemblymember Medina, you're going to need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay. Good now?
Perfect.
All right. Sorry for that. I was saying how excited I am to be here with so many students who've spent the day in class and now are here to support Assembly Bill 331. Good to be here with my colleagues from the Assembly, with Superintendent Thurman and my good friend Dolores Huerta. I have a confession to make. As excited as I am to be here with you all today, this afternoon, last night I really didn't sleep well. And I didn't sleep well last night, and I don't think I'm gonna sleep well for the next few nights until the governor signs AB 331. As most of you know, it's been a long road to get the bill to the governor's desk. And it's been a long road. You know, I say 50 years that we've been pushing for ethnic studies. And as a high school teacher right here in the city of Riverside that I represent, I saw the need for what you are pushing for. I saw the need for students like yourselves see themselves in the curriculum. And what a difference it makes in students' lives when they can see themselves and be part of what they are studying. And what the opposite is now, where they do not ever see yourself. You know, I think UCLA did a study and they found that 70% of the pictures of those people included in the US history books are not people of color, 70%. And I was also a US history teacher. And I know that if you looked at Latinos and then where Latinos were mentioned in the US history book, maybe it was 1 or 2 pages. And that I don't think is right. You know, recently the governor signed Dr. Weber's bill, who's here with us, to put ethnic studies as a graduation requirement in the CSU. But why should students have to wait till they get to college to study about themselves, their history, their culture? You know, we don't ask students to wait till they get to college to study science or math. So I don't think that we should do the same for ethnic studies. I think it's way past time that we have a curriculum that is reflective of all, you know, of our cultures in the high school. I know that we need to be in history, we need to be in literature, and there is so much about our past that has been excluded that needs to be in high school curriculum where students need to have. You know, I know that all of you are aware, as I am, what a difference ethnic studies makes, how it improves students' GPA, how it improves decline in student truancy, and how students get empowered when they learn about their own history and their own culture. So it really is an honor to be here with you. You know, we're not going to get this done without your support. And as I said, as I started by saying that I didn't sleep very well last night, if I know that all of you are going to continue to make phone calls, continue to write letters, continue to use social media until the governor passes the bill, maybe I'll sleep a little bit better knowing that. So Look forward to hearing all of the student speakers. Look forward to hearing from my colleagues. And with that, I'll turn it over. Back to Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Medina.
Awesome. Thank you once again, Assemblymember Medina. Let's give him a big round of applause. So for those that can unmute yourselves, let's go. Let's get some energy in this room. Yes. Thank you so much. Next up, our next guest speaker is the leader of the California Department of Education and the leader of our California education system. He has been a champion for both student voice and student leadership, as well as ethnic studies since his time in the Assembly, and he represents all of us gathered here today, 6.3 million California public school students. So it's an honor and a privilege to introduce him. Let's give a big, big, big round of applause to the California State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. Mr. Thurmond, take it away.
Well, thank you, Alvin. It's great to be on this rally today. So many great leaders here. You know, as I look out and I see all these great leaders, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking that I'm looking out at the next state superintendent. I'm looking out at so many assembly members. You know, there are 80 of them, 80 assembly members and 40 state senators. I'm looking out at future governors and presidents and engineers and doctors and teachers. And you all are teaching us. You're using your voice to make a change at a time when we need it. Thank you for providing this rally. I got a shout out. I know that many of you were already involved in some of our ethnic studies mini series that we did. We did that to kind of tee up, you know, the conversation about support for AB331 and the support for the curriculum that's going to ultimately become a guide for, you know, where California goes. And so Alvin, thank you, and Maya and Siobhan and Brenna and Hema and so many of you who I know were right there when we were having all those great conversations, really introducing ethnic studies to California students for the first time. It was your idea that got us to do the mini series. A lot of you said, hey, we want to see people who look like us in our history books. How come they never tell us about the contributions of our ancestors and what we've done to help make California a great state? And so I'm grateful to all of you for continuing to lean in and to lead, and we're following your leadership. I'm so grateful to the author of AB331, the primary author, Assemblymember Jose Medina. He's been working on this. This is like the body of work. He's been working on this for a long time, and he believes in it. And he's been working every step of the way. We got to get to a place where he can sleep at night. So keep calling the governor to say that this is important. I've reached out to the governor directly. I know he wants to support this. You know, we're in a weird place. People are trying to figure out, well, where do I fit in the ethnic studies conversation? And sometimes that makes people feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't support this bill if my name isn't written explicitly on this particular page. The reality is we all fit into ethnic studies. I love that ethnic studies really gives us a chance, yes, to focus on the contributions of African Americans and Latinos and Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and Native people as a group of people who've been asking for 51 years to be able to see the contributions that have been made to make this state a great state and this nation a great nation. And so, but that doesn't mean that ethnic studies isn't for everyone. It really is. And at a time when we need healing, as we watch racism play out on our daily television shows and in the news, as we see police brutality, the killing of African Americans and people of color in any way that you can imagine, speaks for why we need ethnic studies and why we need it now. This can create a kind of healing that is so important for our nation. And it really is something for all of us. And so, you know, it builds the self-esteem of those who get to see their own history in ways that they've not seen for a long time. It highlights the contributions of so many. It provides us healing. And I just want to thank you for lifting up your voice. I want to thank you for having Assemblymember Medina on and Assemblymember Dr. Weber. They were involved in the webinar. I want to thank you for having the Honorable Dolores Huerta, Si Se Puede. She is just an amazing leader. She graced us with some of her time in the webinar. We're not done yet. We want to do more conversations about ethnic studies and about race and racism and bias in a way that we find to bring all of us together. And so I just want to thank all of you for being the leaders that we need to help us get AB 331 passed and to help us move on and how we get it implemented. We need your help. We need your help in how we draft the curriculum that will be a guide for school districts. We need your help in making sure that young people's voices are heard. Many of you know we're launching a youth advisory council for the California Department of Education. We want you to be a part of it, share your input. If nothing else, just drop in and give us your ideas about how we make California better for all people, for people of color, for all Californians. I'm so proud to be your state superintendent. Anything you need, I got your back. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. I'm looking at you and I'm so proud. Alvin, I'm trying to be like you.
Yes.
You were a good hype man. You came in with energy. I'm trying to lift it up. I'm trying to get it lit. As we pass the microphone on to the next speaker, let me just say thank you. Gracias. Nos vemos. We'll see you soon. Keep doing what you're doing. Se puede. Empower to the people.
Yes, let's give it a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Superintendent Thurmond. Massive hugs and snaps and so much love, throwing it through the computer screen onto the other end. But yeah, thank you so much. Before we move on to our next speaker, we have a special message from Arlene Campa, who is the LA Youth Poet Laureate for the year. So we will be playing her video really quickly.
Hi everyone, my name is Arlene Campa. I am an
activist, an artist, and a senior at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts in East Los Angeles. It is essential that we pass AB 331 and make ethnic studies a mandatory class in our high schools. To me, ethnic studies is the opportunity to be seen and to be heard without having to insist. It is imperative to our campuses, to the well-being of our students of color, and to our society that we are representing all our students, especially in our history classes. And ethnic studies and passing AB 331 is a step towards that representation. Education is the stepping stone for social reform, so students must have a comprehensive understanding and appreciation for their culture and the culture of their peers to create the tomorrow we wish to see. Although I couldn't join you in person, I am so pleased and excited to announce our next speaker, the Honorable Dolores Huerta, who is a lifetime champion of social justice. When people ask me why I'm proud to be Latina, I tell them, the woman before me left commandments inscripted into the palms of my hands. I walk with her stride. Introducing Miss Dolores Huerta.
Hi. And thank you so much. Thank you very much. That was so beautiful. Such a tribute. And I want to thank Jose Medina for introducing this bill, for fighting so hard for it. I want to also thank our superintendent of schools, Tony Thurmond, because he also has been working so hard on this also, and especially at the college level to make sure that we could actually get that into the college curriculum. And I actually would love to see ethnic studies starting with pre-K, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten, because I do believe, and hopefully we can get there in the future, I do believe that we have to start teaching our little children about the fact that we are one human race, and we are Homo sapiens, that our human race began in Africa. Yes, it began in Africa. So we are all Africans. We got that in our DNA, okay, because we are just one human race. It's called Homo sapiens, one human race. I would love to see the word race only attached to the word human, because we do have a lot of ethnic groups, but at the end of the day, we are all Africans of different shades and colors, and it's so important. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know, racism is an illness. Having ethnic studies as a mandatory requirement in our high schools, it will be a big step to start ending the racism in our society, because we know that the consequences of racism are so deadly and so devastating. We have seen that when somebody travels hundreds of miles to kill Mexicans in El Paso, Texas, or to kill African Americans in a church, or to kill Jews in a synagogue, or to kill Muslims because they're Muslims. We have to end this hatred in our society, and this ethnic studies is one big step, a way to do that, so we can start promoting love, respect, compassion, and not hate. So this is why this is so important. I am so happy, and I do want to echo what Superintendent Thurmond said. We've got all work really, really hard. Start phoning Governor Newsom and tell him, you have to do this. This is so important. We know that our governor, Gavin Newsom, is with us, but now we've got to put that signature on that bill to prove it. We also know that we have Proposition 11 that is going to be voted on to bring back affirmative action. We've got Proposition 15 that is going to bring money into our schools so that that money can come into our schools, and then we can make sure that we get the kind of ethnic studies program that we need in every single high school in the country. So thank you again, Assemblyman Medina. Thank you for all of your hard work, for your determination. I know that this legislation is very dear to your heart. And all of us working together, we can make it a possibility that it's really going to happen. Si se puede. Si se puede. Con AB 331. Si se puede con Jose Medina. Si se puede with our superintendent and all of you that are on this call right now. We can make it happen. Gracias. Thank you.
Y se puede. Muchísimas gracias, Dolores Huerta. Thank you so much for those amazing words. Everyone, if you can unmute yourself and let's give her a big round of applause. Dolores Huerta, a lifetime champion for minorities and people of color. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being in this fight with us. Next up, we have Assemblymember Weber. She is the representative from the 79th Assembly District and also the chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus. Everyone give it up for Assemblymember Weber. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here. And I'm really honored to be here with my good friend Medina and obviously and our state superintendent, Tony Thurman. And I'm always humbled to be in the presence of Dolores Huerta. I mean, she has done so much for so many. And anytime we call, she comes. I mean, she is an amazing woman and has been a blessing to all of us. I am honored to be here with Medina. He has worked so hard on AB 331, and it was helpful for me with the AB 1460, which puts ethnic studies now in the university, so that 500,000 students who graduate in 4 years, every class will have to take ethnic studies. And it's the largest educational system in the world, our CSU system, with 500,000 students. So we can only imagine what that knowledge will do in terms of changing the atmosphere and the culture of California and making us more of a diverse state that we want to be. But we haven't finished the task yet. It was a hard drive to get 1460 passed. And I tell people all the time when they ask me, how did you get it done? I said, I got it done with an army. And that's important to understand. There has to be an army because there's an army on the other side. And we have to have an army on our side who are constantly calling the governor, pushing the issue, making sure that all of our legislators know what we need, what we want, and making sure to the very moment that he signs his name, that AB 331 is on his lips, that he knows that we are waiting for him, that he holds our passion and our future in his hands. And so we're going to make sure that he knows that we have to do that with the things we believe in. And I can tell you, it takes an army to bring change in California. And so we are that army and we have to do it. It is so important that we do it. We've come a long way. It is, I was thinking today, it's been 48 years when I first walked at San Diego State University as a beginning professor to basically help develop Africana studies. And then from that, Chicano studies and women's studies and API and Native American studies. I mean, all of those things took an army. It took a battle, a constant battle to make our issues, to make our concerns there. And so while we've tried to stabilize it at one level, we have to continue to fight to make sure that it trickles down to every place. It is always heartbreaking to me to be at the university and have freshmen come in or sophomores come into classroom and knew nothing about what I was teaching, had never been exposed to ethnic studies, knew nothing about African Americans and Latinos, knew nothing, and yet they lived in California all their lives, and some of them were African Americans who knew nothing about their history. And I had to remind myself that part of the whole issue of domination and enslavement was the absence of information about yourself. That when you read these books and read about people who conquer other folks, when I was at high school, I would be concerned because it said, you know, these folks rode into town and they burned the library. And I'm thinking, what was the library going to do, shoot you? I mean, why would you burn the library? It was crazy to think in those terms. But then I learned earlier when I studied Palofia that what they were doing was trying to destroy my memory of self. That if they can destroy your history, and they can change and leave you without information, then they can write the history they want on your minds. And they can then determine the limitations of what you attempt to accomplish, the heights that you think you can go to, what you think your ancestors have done. They can, in essence, change your character as a human being and determine how high you fly and whether or not you fly at all. So it's extremely important that when we start talking about history, that it's not just the memorization of facts, it's the development of the California character. It's the development of the American character. It helps us to understand who we are, who our ancestors are, and how our relationship with others ought to be rather than defined by somebody else. And so it's really, really important. It is the essence of your life. Carter G. Woodson talked about it in 1925 when he started the Black History Week, because he knew that there was a miseducation, he said, of the Negro. And that miseducation was the lack of information about self. And that's what we're advocating for, a complete picture, not a denigration of anybody else, but a complete picture of history itself. And this is where it begins. And Dolores Huerta is absolutely correct. It should begin from the day we're born, that we learn about other people in preschool, and we learn to respect their traditions and their cultures. And we grow up loving and understanding who we are and our respect and lack of fear of others. And so that's where we're hopefully moving. And we have to move in that direction, because we cannot survive in the manner in which we exist, not knowing much about each other. So I'm pleased to be here. We're fighting all we can with AB 331. It is imperative that they understand it, because oftentimes they say, well, it's so expensive. But the reality is, if someone says, if you think knowledge is expensive, try ignorance and see how expensive that is. What it brings in terms of the tragedy and how you have to undo things that are there. We can solve a lot of our problems of remedial education and dropouts and all those things if kids love school and school is a reflection of them. And therefore, we spend our energies doing the positive rather than undoing the negative. So I'm excited about this. This is a great opportunity. We cannot give up. We've got 2 more weeks. We got to basically drive this home to the governor. He believes in us, but as someone said, he needs to believe enough to sign the piece of paper. And he will do that if he believes that there is an army outside. And I can tell you, nobody thought 1460 would ever get passed, because we were basically telling the board of trustees what they had to do. And that is rare in the state of California. And yet, because there was an army pushing for 1460, he signed it, and is rare across the nation that the university is actually mandating ethnic studies for every student that comes to CSU. We can do that for every kid in California. And because the CSU is going to have all these students that are graduating with the knowledge and information, they will be the teachers coming into our schools. We are preparing them to come into our schools to teach our K through 12 students. So I'm excited about being here. I hope you are too. And don't give up. We got to give Mr. Medina a good night's rest. So it'd be great if the governor signs this in the next few days. We have to tell him it's imperative to save the health of Mr. Medina, and he needs to do it right away. Don't wait till the last day so that Medina can have a good night's rest. It's been a long journey, a worthy journey, and we hope to have a great victory in the end. Thank you so much for having me with you.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much. We are an army. We are an army. Everyone here on this call, you are part of this army. We are into this fight. We're all in this fight to make sure that Governor Newsom passes ethnic studies and lets Mr. Medina sleep. Thank you so much. Very well said. And now to introduce Assemblymember Gonzalez. She's the Assembly Member of the 80th District and Chair of the Latino Caucus. Assemblymember Gonzalez, take it away, please.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on. This has been great, to watch Dolores Huerta today address you all and to know how important that is. And the next generation needs to learn about it in school. I was lucky enough when I grew up that my mom taught me about Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez. I understood that piece of my history, but I didn't learn a thing about it in school until I went away to college. And that is shameful, because we should be able to know our history. Today is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, right? You guys hear this? Why do we have a month, people? We're 40% of the population in California. We should have every single day of the year in your school. We should be learning about Latinos. We should be learning about African Americans. We should learn about Asian and Pacific Islanders, and we should be learning about Native Americans. That is the history of California and the history of the United States, and you all are going to make it happen for the next generation. That's what we need. We need to ensure that when they are going through high school, that this is not just an optional potential, that this is actually a requirement. So I'm going to do something right now. I put in the chat box Governor Newsom's phone number. His phone number that you all can call. You can take out your cell phone right now if you're not on it. If you have a cell phone or if you have another phone, or write down the number. So everybody call and ask him that when you, right now, or at some point after the rally, you're going to call and ask him to sign AB 331. He has to hear from you. He has to hear how important it is to people who are going to actually benefit from this, whose younger brothers and sisters, who's the next generation are going to benefit from this, because he's heard enough from us old people. He doesn't care if Mr. Medina sleeps or not. We know. So we want to make sure that Mr. Medina has a good night of sleep, and that all of us are protecting the next generation and are changing California. How do we change police brutality in California? We help teach ethnic studies in our classrooms. How do we change the wage gap for Latinas and African Americans and African American women and Native American women? We learn ethnic studies in high school. How do we make all the changes that we need to make? Well, we got to learn about our history. So thank you, Mr. Medina, for bringing this forward. This is a labor of love. We have been doing this for so many years. I remember when I was a law student at UCLA, watching the students camp out trying to get Chicano studies at UCLA. That seems like a lifetime ago, but it's time. It's your time. It's your time to camp out. It's your time to demand this and ensure that we have ethnic studies in our high school. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, and let Mr. Medina sleep.
Yes, thank you so much, Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Hashtag let Medina sleep. Let's get that.
Yes. That's a good hashtag.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, guys, don't stop spamming Newsom. We need to tell him that as students across California, we want our voices heard, and we want AB 331 passed. So call that number if you can. Next up, our next special guest is Sophia Andre. She is an OG activist, and in 2017, when Women's March first happened, she organized San Francisco's first Women's March, and more than 140,000 people showed up to that march in San Francisco. And to this day, she is still organizing that march every single year. So Sophia, take it away.
Thank you so much, Alvin. Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Andari. As Alvin said, I'm a founding member and co-chair of Women's March San Francisco. I am also a commissioner on the Commission on the Status of Women, and I am a member of GenUp's Board of Advisors, which I'm very proud of. You guys are an amazing group, and I'm seriously always impressed and at awe with every single one of you. I just kind of wanted to tell a story. So I was born in Michigan and moved to Lebanon when I was 3 years old, because my parents thought they were missing home, and they thought the Civil War had ended. And it did not. So it restarted shortly after we arrived in Lebanon. When I was 8, we left and came to California, mainly because my parents wanted to ensure that my sister and I had an undisturbed education. My first memory was being introduced in my 3rd grade class, where the teacher said my name and that I was from Lebanon, to which all the kids in the classroom said, "Where's that?" and asked me if I rode a camel. In my broken English, I asked, "What is a camel?" To which the teacher showed me a picture of a camel. And I started laughing and said, "No, I've never seen a camel in Lebanon." And my mom drove a Mercedes and my father drove a BMW. You see, in Lebanon, we don't have a desert. And the kids' only reference of something that was Middle Eastern was Egypt, which is actually in North Africa and not in the Middle East. I have so many more examples from elementary, junior high, high school of ignorant comments and assumptions based purely on movies where Middle Eastern people are always portrayed as terrorists. I never saw anyone that looked like me in leadership. or even in a positive light. Now, I've gone to school in Lebanon, I've gone to school in France, I've gone to school in the US. I also taught high school in France. And I know that education is key to fighting racism and building understanding between cultures. We need to learn real and honest history and include all the contributions from various cultures that helped build the United States of America. Ethnic studies is needed now. Please join us in asking Governor Newsom to sign in law AB 331 to make, number one, history, and to continue to have California lead the way. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Sophia Andari, for supporting us and representing us. And everyone give her a round of applause.
Yes.
Give a round of applause to all of our speakers, our incredible adult supporters. This would not have been possible without the support of so many of our legislators and our representatives and so many people who are in this fight with us. We cannot thank you enough. And yes, please keep bugging Governor Newsom, keep calling him, keep emailing him, because we need to make sure that he signs that piece of paper and we get ethnic studies. So thank you once again to all of our adult supporters. And now moving on to the students. We have an incredible lineup of student speakers here who have been representing us in the classroom and out of the classroom. And so first up, we have Gema Quetzal Cárdenas. She was the California State Student Board Member from 2018 to 2019. Gema, please take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Gema Quetzal. I'm from East Oakland. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm super proud to be in everyone's presence. Y'all are powerful, and I'm so thankful for y'all to be agents of change in this work. So, as a first generation Salvadorian American, it was hard for me to see myself in textbooks. I lost hope and could not see myself in Eurocentric narratives that I saw in my history classes, which would only show people of color as submissive or oppressed. The classes I saw instead uplifted oppressors like Thomas Jefferson, who enslaved people, and colonizers like Junipero Serra, who until recently had statues across California. However, as I reached my freshman year in high school and enrolled in ethnic studies, I learned about the Third World Liberation Front, a group of students of color who fought for ethnic studies at SA State and UC Berkeley. This movement became more than a lesson for me, for it empowered me to develop leadership skills and fight for my education because there were so many inequities in Oakland. I saw students of color in college not only getting their education, but organizing, fighting for the same thing we are fighting for now. Coming from a community where we were so active in history, Oakland, we have the Black Panther Party, you know? And for me not to be able to see that in my history classroom was a great injustice because that could empower young people. Ethnic studies is not only about just learning your cultures. Ethnic studies is about battling structural racism and undoing the structural racism within the education system, which consistently erase people of color and their narratives. The Third World Liberation Front taught me that ethnic studies and education is vital. Learning about the Third World Liberation Front gave me hope that I can have access to higher education, creates change in the classroom and outside the classroom. My community and society at large. There's one organization in Oakland called APAL, and one thing they always say is no history, no self. When you're able to give young students of color the access to be able to learn about their history, you're helping them get empowered. And that's why ethnic studies is so important, because there's power about learning the stories about Black, Indigenous people of color. There is power about knowing resistance. There is power in dismantling oppressive systems and institutions. We need to have access to ethnic studies. And that's why we have to work hard to tell Gavin Newsom ethnic studies now. And we're not going to stop until we get there. And Dolores Huerta said it herself, thankfully. Thank you so much for all your work. That, this is just high school. We need to have our babies having it. We need to make sure that wherever we go, we take ethnic studies where we go and beyond the classroom. So I really appreciate y'all for doing this and continue fighting for this. Thank you.
Emma, killing it as always. Everyone give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Yes.
A phenomenal speech. So much, so well said. And thank you so much for continuing this fight with us. Next up, we have Joshua Camarillo, the Fresno Unified School District student board member. He is the student board member from one of the most diverse school districts in the state. So everyone welcome Joshua Camarillo. Please take it away.
Thank you, thank you. Ethnic studies is important, and it is imperative that it is passed. Ethnic studies gives us the opportunity to listen to other cultures and other individuals and understand the backstory of where they come from. Now, while I do want to emphasize the importance of passing it, I also want to emphasize the importance of eliminating the stigma of a student taking the ethnic studies class. Even here in Fresno, if some students take it, it seems like, oh, you're taking ethnic studies? You didn't want to take a more challenging course, when that should be completely the opposite way. Ethnic studies empowers the student and allows them to think beyond themselves and this ideology that our history has created in our school system. Ethnic studies is important, and I really hope that it passes. And I also hope that it ends this stigma of it not being a valid course, because it is a valid course. And I acknowledge that even here in Fresno, one of the most diverse spaces in California, it is like that. And I cannot even imagine how it may be outside of Fresno. Regardless, it is important that we not only pass it, but end that stigma, because it is crucial. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Big round of applause to Josh. Come on, keep it up, guys. Yes. Awesome. So thank you so much, Josh. And you're so right. We need to end that stigma now. So thank you so much, Josh. Next up, we're going to welcome Brenna Pangilinan, who was the California State Student Board member just this year. So Brenna, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Alvin. My name is Brenna Pangilinan, and I was the previous student board member on the California State Board of Education. Like stated today, there will never be a better time for ethnic studies to take root in California's education system. You know, the way we perceive our world is strongly shaped by what we learn in school. And as an education system, we choose what we prioritize. Now, that's some serious stuff. We're dealing with the way millions of students view not only their surroundings, but themselves, just through what we require students to learn. California is one of the most diverse states in our nation, and it is time our education system reflects that diversity and seeks out the truth of our individual histories. I think in education and politics in general, we accept that changes take time, but ethnic studies should not be one of those things. AB 331 is not the end all be all in terms of solving the issues we see today, but it is such an essential step in showing that as a state, we are striving to seek justice through what we teach. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm proud to be a part of this army.
Thank you so much, Brenna. You are an inspiration to so many students. Everyone give it up to Brenna. Thank you so much for being here with us. Next up, we have Jessica Riestra. She is the Western Regional Director for March for Our Lives. Jessica, please take it away.
Hello, y'all. Well, first I wanted to say what a great introduction we have to Hispanic Heritage Month. So I'm very excited for that. But I also wanted to say Feliz Día de la Independencia to Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Today they're celebrating that, and it's important to celebrate our diversity that we have within this country. But beginning with that, today, we are seeing such a strong divide between citizens in America. Some of those divides stem from intolerance, racism, and a lack of education. As a result, we have seen racial justice become the epicenter of a variety of movements right now. A lot of conversations come on how we could unify people. A great initiative is educating people on ethnic communities living in this country, teaching them the history of their struggles, their current struggles, and the lack of representation faced in this country. Ethnic studies will help students understand the political and social injustices faced in our communities. Moreover, it would empower people to stand in solidarity with one another. Ethnic studies carries meaning of tolerance, acceptance, culture, and unity. It is a way for us to understand one another. That's where we come in. In order to improve racial and social justice, AB 331 would be a first step onto a more inclusive and accepting society.
Yes, thank you. Let's give it up for Jessica. Preach, preach, preach. Vibes are impeccable right now. I love it. Let's keep it up, guys. For our next speaker, we have Maya Howard, who is the student member on the Instructional Quality Commission, the IQC, which is the body in that under the State Board of Education that votes to approve our curriculum. So Maya, take it away.
Thanks so much, Alvin. I think what I really want to say is that this whole time I've just been smiling so big because it is events like this and days like this and bills like this that just make me so optimistic for our future, because what we're seeing is real tangible change in front of us, and it's students that are paving the way for that change. I've been looking around this whole time. I see others smiling so big, but I just can't stress that enough. I've literally had like a grin on my face this entire time. And this is the exact reason that I am so passionate about education advocacy, because this is history. This bill is history. This event is history. All of you are making history right now, because education is square one for change. And I cannot think of a better example of that than AB 331. Because this is history. This is going to change California and hopefully be a precedent for. It's been amazing. And I'm so excited to hear all of your questions later on. And thank you so much to all the other speakers. You've done such an amazing job.
Thank you so much, Maya, for your amazing words and for representing us on the Instructional Quality Commission. Everyone, once again, give it up for Maya. Thank you so much to all of our student speakers. Next up, we have Katia Correa Almanza. She is the San Francisco Unified Student Board member. Thank you so much for being here, Katia, and take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm in presence of Siobhan Hines Foster, who is another student delegate of SFUSD. And I just want to start off by saying one thing. The most powerful classroom is the one that leaves the room. And with that being said, I want to say something that was taught to me in a classroom. Some of you guys might know this, some of you guys may not, but I'm happy to introduce it to you guys. It's called In La Quech. If you know it with me and you're in your room, make sure you chant with me, okay? Tú eres mi otro yo. You are my other me. Si te hago daño a ti, if I do harm to you, me hago daño a mí mismo. I do harm to myself. Si te amo y respeto, if I love and respect you, me amo y respeto yo. I wanted to say that because the thing that ethnic studies brings to our classrooms is unity. The last word is something that always resonates with me. Si te amo y respeto, me amo y respeto yo. And that's exactly what this nation needs. In a time where people are getting killed for just the way that they look. In a time where people are getting hurt and discriminated in the very classrooms at schools. That is a time where we have to do something. You know, the Third World Liberation Front was brought up earlier. I want to speak on that too. It was through unity that in 1968, they brought ethnic studies to SF State, okay? That was so many years ago. And it's just now that we're, you know, on the verge and on the path to doing it to all. Because, you know, this is something that is gifted. It's a blessing to have ethnic studies for me. You know, I go to a school where I have ethnic studies. I go to a school where I have people of color who are teaching me my history. But that's not available for every single student. And that is why this event, the fact that y'all are here, the fact that y'all are listening to Dolores Huerta, you know, the fact that we're all here waiting to get this passed, the fact that we want to make Let Medina Sleep trending on Twitter, that is all the reasons why today is so powerful. I want y'all to leave here feeling inspired, because that's exactly what we need. And don't ever forget that unity is the path to amor y paz. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause and snap. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, next up, we have Jessica Ramos, who is the student member on the Oakland Unified School District this year. So let's give a big round of applause to Jessica.
Thank you so much. I'm Jessica Ramos. I'm from Oakland, California. You know, my girl Hema knows that we go crazy. So like, just seeing y'all being hella loud is just amazing. I'm gonna start off real quick because I don't want to take so much time. So it's an honor to be in this space, but I also want you to repeat this after me. It's our duty to fight for our future. I'm gonna change it up because I know it's different. And as the Honorable Dolores Huerta said, hopefully we can teach our preschool, our babies, My mom is a pre-K teacher, so for her, I just know if she could teach our students, our future leaders, all about ethnic studies, it would be hella amazing. Like knowing about our ancestors, knowing about our babies. Also, the younger that you teach our students, the younger that we teach our kids about our history, the more comfortable they will feel at being in their skin, the more comfortable they will feel being surrounded by people, the more comfortable they feel about just being themselves, you know? And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all about us and to be able to fight. Let me just tell you, I'm just hella impressed of like how, even though it's virtual, the energy is still there. And I'm just hella hyped about ethnic studies, and we will be in the books later on in the future, because what we're doing now as young people, imagine what we're going to be doing later on, and sharing these stories to our grandchildren and sharing these stories to our great-great-grandchildren through other books. Thank you so much again, and I'm gonna finish this off. You know what Hinojosa says, si se puede, ahora sí se va a hacer. So instead of yes, we can, it'll be yes, we did it. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, Jessica. Thank you so much for those amazing and inspirational words. And thank you so much for being in this fight along with us. Next up, we have Yasmin Mabin and Maya Deganyar, the directors of March for Our Lives, California.
Hi, my name's Maya, and I'm the Co-California State Director for March for Lives, like that was just said. But I'm also a Middle Eastern high school student, so I can say both on a personal and professional level, I fully support AB 331. When I was growing up, I was never taught ethnic studies, even now that I'm in high school. My school's always taught a very Eurocentric curriculum that made people like me feel like we didn't fit in. So I actually started to distance myself from my ethnicity and culture at a young age, and that created a self-hatred, something I'm still battling to this day, and it's a hard fight. And we know that students of color throughout California are feeling this way. But there's another side effect of not teaching ethnic studies in our classrooms. There's a lack of education going on to our peers, and that lack of education is creating hatred and racism. I know I've seen it in my high school, and I know all of you've seen it too. So what is the solution to this? Because we know if we don't stop this hatred will become violence. And this violence could be gun violence, and that's something that March for Our Lives is trying to stop right now. So what's the solution? We need to teach ethnic studies. We need to teach students really young, younger than high school even, that just because someone's a different race than you, has a different ethnicity, speaks a different language, has a different culture, doesn't mean they're inferior to you. And we need to make sure Newsom is passing this right now, just not to make sure that Medina sleeps. So make sure that you're supporting ethnic studies and make sure your peers are supporting ethnic studies. And let's make sure that Newsom signs ethnic studies into bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause to Maya. Yes.
Yeah. Woo.
Next up, Yasmin Mabin, who's the other co-director of March for Our Lives California, would like to say a few words. So take it away, Yasmin.
Hey guys, my name's Yasmin. So as he said, I'm the co-director for March for Our Lives California. So we're a youth gun violence prevention organization. We organize around gun violence, but also it's many intersections. So a large part of gun violence prevention at its root is just building safer communities. And this can take so many different forms. So as most of you guys probably know, gun violence disproportionately affects marginalized communities, specifically communities of color. So when we're looking at things like hate crimes, state-sanctioned violence, police violence, and you see these racist policies and institutions, it's really hard for those to be fully addressed when we're currently relying on a whitewashed education system. And I know personally from my experience, when I've seen many of my peers criticize what's going on and the recent uprisings, they tend to use similar talking points to that of people that were criticizing the civil rights movement, which should be a concern for everyone. So with that in mind, I'm super excited to be here to support AB 331 and to make ethnic studies a graduation requirement, because we will never be able to move forward as a society if we can't first acknowledge our past.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Let's give another big round of applause. Yes. Okay, next up, we have Jasmine Sky Nguyen and Caitlin Zhou, who are the two founders of Diversifier Narrative. So let's give a big round of applause and let's welcome Jasmine and Caitlin. Take it away, guys.
Hi guys, so I'm Caitlin. I use she, her pronouns, and I just wanted to say I'm so enthusiastically in support of AB331, along with everyone else from Diverse Fair Narrative. I've been so inspired by all the youth activist movements and just all the activism that we've seen in the wake of, the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's been so inspiring to see how much people care about advancing racial justice in the classroom. And I think what makes ethnic studies so unique and so like a cause that we can all be so passionate about is the fact that it really touches on activism in a sphere that we have drastically underutilized, which is our education system. People go to school for 12 years of their life and they don't, spend barely any time in the classroom actually learning about their own histories. And the fact that we don't have this for ourselves, for BIPOC students, and that we don't have them for all students, even non-BIPOC students as well. And the fact that we're unable to learn about our rich and incredibly diverse histories and see the beauty and humanity towards people of color is incredibly disappointing. And so it makes me really happy that we are finally making big strides. We're making history towards signing this into law, and I'm so excited to see that happen. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jasmine.
Yeah, so just kind of repeating what Caitlin said. So originally we decided to get into racial justice work and fight for Diversify Our Narrative's mission, which is people of color in our English classrooms, because when I was growing up, I didn't see myself reflected in the literature. And I think that what school tells you is we're going to give you an education so that we can tell you everything that's important, so you can learn what you need to know. And so when the school system only fed me white history, I started to think that white history was the only history that was important. And why were all the other faces of my classroom not also present? And so we stand 100% in favor of AB 331. We are so proudly backing this, and we are so glad to see that all of you have showed up and showed out, and we can definitely do this, and we are going to make history. And we are just so excited to be here today. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. Everyone give a big round of applause for Jasmine and Caitlin and all the work that Diversify Our Narrative has been doing. Thank you so much for advocating for us in your English classrooms, in your textbooks, in your literature. This is so important. This is an unprecedented fight. Thank you guys so much. Next up, we have Zachary Patterson. He is the student board member on the San Diego Unified School District Board, one of the biggest school districts in California. Zachary, please take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. Hi, everyone. As Michelle said, my name is Zachary Patterson, and I'm the student board member of San Diego Unified and a Jewish American student at University City High School. AB 331 is a landmark bill for how we create and shape our education system. My own district, San Diego Unified, being a school district where the majority of our students are people of color, has led the way in pioneering ethnic studies. I'm proud to be a part of a district that beginning this year requires all of our freshmen to at least at one point take an ethnic studies-based course, whether through English or history. And at some of our schools, at most of our high schools, we're offering the ability to take an ethnic studies history course for all 4 years of high school. Changing the narrative to one that values the contributions of students of color and empowers all minorities that have faced oppression is critical to the success of a school district. And I know as a student board member, I always argue that the achievement gap is our most pressing issue in our education system. And AB 331 is offering a solution to close our achievement gap. By empowering students to recognize that their ethnicity has mattered and continues to matter, we can ensure that students in our most vulnerable communities are graduating with the skills, motivation, and curiosity to be successful in our world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. Let's give Zach a big round of applause. Yes. Woo! I know, guys, I know it's been a bit while, but let's keep up the energy up. We're almost there. We're almost through. Let's keep this momentum up. So up next, we have Olivia Ann Olson, who was the student board member last year for the Sacramento City Unified. So Olivia, take it away.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and as Alvin said, I was the past student board member in the Sacramento City Unified School District's Board of Education. My mother immigrated to the United States from the Philippines, and only now, as a freshman in college, am I beginning to uncover the rich history and culture of the regional homeland of half my family. I was fortunate enough, however, in high school to have taken a one semester class on African American studies. And this one exception to an otherwise Eurocentric, whitewashed public education was remarkably eye-opening. It was the first time I was encouraged to look at the Mercator map from a different perspective and to question and think independently about the systems and narratives that I had so easily accepted. But the purpose of ethnic studies is not just to inform and invalidate students of their own backgrounds. This is about equipping generations of children with the skills necessary for how to look at the world. I can only think that perhaps if the people leading our country right now were required to have taken an ethnic studies class in their high school days, maybe things would be looking a little different. Education impacts mindset. What you learn as a child shapes the way you look at the world as an adult. And more importantly, the way you look at the world impacts how you act in this world, how you treat other people, the decisions you make in positions of power, how you choose to protect and advocate for others. So therefore, as a student, I proudly stand behind ethnic studies, and I urge Governor Newsom to do so as well. Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much, Olivia. You are such an inspiration to so many of us. Thank you so much for those amazing words. Next up, we have Josephine Curitin, who is the former chair of the San Francisco Youth Commission, the first youth commission in the entire state of California. Josephine, take it away.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And again, thank you everyone so much for being here today. It's so great to see so much energy, even online. I love how we're all still together and still gathered together. And I just wanted to implore you again, like all the reminders you've been seeing in the chat, please call Governor Newsom. The fight does not stop now. You signed the petition, you called the assembly members. We still got to get it past Newsom. So thank you all. And you know, I come from San Francisco. I went to an academic, so-called academic and competitive high school. And there was the same stigma around taking ethnic studies. People said, you know, it's not an AP class, it doesn't matter. It's not an honors class, it doesn't matter. But ethnic studies is so crucial in gaining cultural competency in our schools. Yes, it is, lol, actually. Yes, Walker. But yeah, and actually now as a college student, I'm having my first experiences, you know, being able to learn about the education system, being able to learn about ethnic studies. And, you know, I just really want to share something that I learned in my education studies lecture today. My professor said, you know, so many people know that our education system is fundamentally flawed. Anyone can say, you know, I'm against racism, but people don't walk the walk, people don't make change. So I want to thank you all, you know, for being here, for demanding this change. I want to thank our adult allies, you know, for sponsoring this bill and actually, you know, walking the walk and making this change to better our education system and to really start us on this path to creating culturally competent and anti-racist schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Josephine. Let's give a big round of applause for Josephine. Yes. Awesome. Okay, for our second to last student speaker of the day, we're going to welcome Francis Wavillo, who was the student board member this year for LA Unified, which is the biggest school district in California. So Francis, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Francis Wavillo. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the student board member for Los Angeles Unified School District. I just want to say it's so comforting to see so many students show up and show out for this cause because we know the importance of it, and to see that we have adults backing us up is even better. But I came to the United States in 2010 from the Philippines. So I was born and raised on the island. And when I got here, the only thing people knew about the Philippines was Manny Pacquiao and that we win beauty pageants. And it broke my heart that my beautiful culture was reduced to just that. And I spent the rest of my public school education fighting to say that I matter, that I should be represented. And first of all, I shouldn't have to sit there until I'm blue in the face telling people that I matter, that I should be in my textbooks. That shouldn't even be in the conversation. But the fact that I'm 18 years old and I feel like all the wind has been knocked out of me just trying to get people to listen to me, that's a problem. And I would hate to think that my younger cousins and my younger sibling would have to fight the same fight that I fought all throughout my public school education. A few days ago, I was in another meeting and somebody brought up a point where it was like, student voice is amazing. And yes, it is so amazing. But the one thing that may be better than student voice is adult action. And that's really where it all stands, to see if adults are really here and will do what they say that that they will do for students. They talk about how important it is to have student empowerment, how important it is for student voice, but they just stand there and they don't do anything. And everything that we tell them goes in one ear and out the other. And now I see all the comments saying that we're going to be spamming until it gets signed. And I love that, because that's true. Adult action is what we need. And I know student voice will not rest until we get it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francis, the last speaker of the day. Let's give a big round of applause. Woo! Yeah, to end it off for the day, kind of just like Josephine said, thank you everyone for coming here today, because not only were you guys talking the talk, but you were walking the walk, and you were here for a collective experience to make a difference. So now, to really seal the deal, make sure you call and pressure Governor Newsom to sign Ethnic Studies AB 331 into law. Take a picture of this slide, pull out your phones, open up your eyes and, take like a mental picture from your eyes, which are your built-in cameras, do whatever you have to do. And just, remember this, Google gov.ca.gov, click the contact button, send an email of support to Governor Newsom. Call Governor Newsom's number, 916-445-2841. Leave a voicemail. Remember, we have to hashtag let Medina sleep, and he will not be able to sleep tonight until Newsom signs this bill into law. So we got a lot of pressure riding on us, guys. It's a lot of pressure. And make sure you tag at California Governor, at Gavin Newsom on Instagram and Facebook. Our generation, we are great at social media, so let's use what we're best at and let's spam the hell out of Governor Newsom. So just to end, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our AB 331 webinar. Once again, I'm Alvin, I'm part of GenUp, and it was a remarkable moment for our state. We are all coming here together to collectively champion a new way of learning for 6.3 million California public school students. And thank you so much, Assemblymember Medina, for making this bill and making this all possible.
Yes, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Michelle. I am GenUp's Policy Director. I was also one of the 3 finalists to be the student member on the California State Board of Education. So I am incredibly honored to have been in the presence of so many student board members across the state, so many fighters for justice, and so many assembly members, our state superintendent, Dolores Huerta. I wanted to thank everyone here who came up, who showed up, and who spoke for our rights and who spoke for ethnic studies. This is such a huge turning point for our state. I know myself that as a first generation Salvadoran American, my K-12 education never prioritized my narrative, but now we have the opportunity to change that.
And now we are at a unique point in our state's history. Since the first protest at San Francisco State University in 1969, we have come a long, long way in pioneering the curriculum that our schools so desperately need. Now is the time. We have the leadership, we have the energy, and we have the drive. The stars have realigned for us today, and students to adult leaders from across California have spoken up and demanded the need for ethnic studies. Now is that time.
Once again, this would not have been possible without the support of millions of constituents. So everyone remember, call Governor Newsom, bug Governor Newsom, email Governor Newsom. This is our time to take autonomy over our own civic learning, over our own civic engagement. It's the time to start dismantling oppressive system. And that starts through picking up the phone, dialing those numbers, and calling Governor Newsom.
So thank you again for joining us, and we cannot wait to continue the fight for ethnic studies in California. I know we're all in Zoom, but I want to finish with a lot of energy and a big bang. So if everyone can kind of just turn on their cameras, if they're not on yet, we'll give everyone like 15-20 seconds for that. What we're gonna do is, obviously we can't do like a chant or something because there's, delay in Zoom and it'll be like everyone talking over to each other, but we're gonna do the next best thing. So we're gonna do a series of 3 kind of shouts. So the first one will be, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go ethnic studies now on 3, and then we'll do our futures on 3, and then we're gonna do AB 331 now on 3, and then we will end and break with a lot of energy for the day. Yes, you guys can unmute yourself. Wait, okay, everyone should be unmuted. Can everyone talk?
Wow.
Awesome. Okay, let's end today with the boom. Let's end today with some energy. Okay, let's get the vibes in this place. Okay, are you guys ready? Ethnic studies now on 3. Ready? Hands in. 1, 2, 3. Ethnic studies now.
Oh.
Hands in. On 3. On 3. Our future is now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Our future is now. This is the last one. So we're gonna unmute. We're gonna finish with a lot of bang and a lot of energy, guys. I want you to scream and shout this and turn this energy and passion and fire you have into action. Okay, are you guys ready? Our future is on 3. This is it. This is the moment, guys. Hands in. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Our future. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today, and have a great rest of the day. And remember, call Governor Newsom. Hashtag let us sleep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are good. And that's a wrap, guys. That is a wrap.
That was amazing.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And thank you, Katya, for coming in last minute to sub. Really appreciate it.
Wait,
Dude, your
Alvin.
energy was awesome.
Wait,
you
Alvin,
gotta
end the live.
participate.
End the live.